So now we're going to look at lambda functions. Lambda functions are small unnamed functions. So we have the lambda here, and then we have x colon x times x. Notice there's no define over here. We're going to pass a value to the lambda function. That's going to be x. And then on the right side of the colon is what's going to happen. So we have x times x. And so whatever value is passed to this lambda function, the square result will pop out of it. In our case, we're going to ask for a number. We're going to make an integer of that number, send it to the squared function, and then print it. So we run this, and we do a 5, and sure enough, we get 25. If we try that with a list, blows up. We can't use the list in the lambda function that way. We can't send it straight to the lambda function like that. Let's do a little side step here. Review the modulus function. 5 modulus 2 means we take 5, divide by 2, and what comes out is the remainder. 6 modulus 2, we take 6 divided by 2, and what's left, the remainder is what pops out. The same with 13 modulus 7, and sure enough, we get 1, 0, and 6. Let's get back to the lambda functions here. So we have a lambda function where we're going to see if it's odd or even, and so we're going to send a number to the lambda function, and if that the modulus value of that, we do the odd because it'd be true, and even otherwise. So we run this, and you can see we send it a 7, and 7 is odd, so odd pops out. And then we ask for a number. If I do a 4, sure enough, even pops out. So you can use if statements within lambda functions, though they look a little funky, but you can still use them. All right. Now you can use more. You can send more than one value to a lambda function. So we do the same thing here, except we're sending an x and a y, and of course we do x if x is greater than y, else y. So it will return the number that's larger or greater than. So we say greater than a or b, so we send it the 5 and the 7, and sure enough, hopefully the 7 returns back. If we do it opposite, 7 comma 5, just to show the if is still working, we still should get 7, and sure enough, we get 2 7s. So you can send multiple values to a lambda function as well. Now, everything I've shown you is not really how lambda functions are used, but I just want to show you we can do some print statements inside them as well. So we can do it this way. No, that's the one I just did. Oh, okay. All right. So we can do the square it here. Now we have that list. And how do we do it? We can use like the map function. So we do the list on the right-hand side of the map and the lambda function on the left-hand side. And sure enough, when we run it, we will get the results. Notice the map function returns a map class data type. It is not a list. To get the map data type or map object data type into a list, we have to use the list constructor. So you take your map, you get a map data type out, and then use the list constructor to make a list. All right, now this is how most lambda functions are written. Instead of trying to write them up here, you just stick them in wherever you need them. So inside of your regular function or commands, you'll stick a lambda function. And so what's going to happen is we're going to do lambda x is equal to x times x, comma, and then we put a list here. So what happens is we're going to go through and we're going to map through. So the 1 goes 1 times 1, 2 times 2 times 2. The result goes to the my new nums, and remember this is a map object, and so then we have to use the list function to get that back in. And sure enough, it works. But this is the real way you're going to use the lambda function. You're going to bury it inside of your other commands when you need something to be done quickly and a quick conversion or somehow. And we can take a to list here. So you see we do the same thing there we did in the previous page, but now I'm adding the numbers together instead of multiplying them. So here we send one list to it, and we multiply the first one times the itself. And in this lambda function, we send x and y based on our my nums list and my new nums list. So again, we have two lists, and we take the first two values, add them together, and we make a new, well, our map function object, and then we make it into a list. So we end up taking two lists, adding the first two values, second values, third values, and make that sum into the list of the third ones. Now, we don't have to be doing addition. I'm just happen to be showing you that is what the Lambda function is. You could be doing many different things that you wanted to do. But in our context, using a Lambda function in the map command is done very often when you want to modify your data somehow.